Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the absolute most essential topics for any professional hypnotherapist, or really any healthcare provider out there. We're talking about that incredibly delicate but absolutely vital balance between clinical confidence and professional humility. You know, as you grow your knowledge, it is so incredibly exciting to see all the different ways you can help people. But with that capability comes a pretty deep responsibility to know exactly where your expertise begins and, maybe even more importantly, where it ends. We're going to unpack how truly understanding your professional limits actually makes you a way stronger and much more respected practitioner. Let me put you in the hot seat right off the bat with a really fundamental question. Look at this. Do I have the knowledge, skills, and experience to manage this client safely? Every single professional practitioner must continually ask themselves this exact question. If your answer is ever kind of uncertain or a bit fuzzy, well, that's your immediate cue that additional support or a referral should be considered. It's literally the ultimate filter for providing ethical and effective care. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer today. 1. The good intentions trap. 2. Defining scope and competence. 3. Spotting clinical red flags. 4. The power of referral. And 5. Building a professional network. Starting things off with Section 1, the good intentions trap. And this brilliantly illustrates the psychological hurdle we all face. It is completely natural, especially for newly qualified therapists, to feel this immense pressure to help every single person who contacts you. You've got new skills, you want to make a difference, and that enthusiasm is genuinely wonderful. On one side of the scale, we have that enthusiasm to help, the pressure to treat everyone purely out of kindness. But on the flip side, we absolutely must have sound clinical judgment. The hard truth is, accepting clients whose needs exceed your competence might actually disadvantage them, despite your very best intentions. Your enthusiasm should never, ever replace your clinical judgment, because working beyond your competence can unintentionally cause harm. Moving right along to Section 2, defining scope and competence. So what is it exactly? Well, your scope of practice refers to the activities you are educated, trained, and competent to perform safely. It's determined by your education, your clinical experience, and any legal or professional requirements in your specific area. But here is the absolutely critical takeaway. Your scope is not static. Completing a training course doesn't just instantly make you competent in every situation forever. Your scope gradually expands as you undertake further education, undergo ongoing professional development, and gain supervised clinical experience. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the clear distinction it draws between merely knowing about a condition and actually having the clinical competence to manage it safely. I mean, theoretical knowledge, like reading a dozen books on a specific disorder, is great, but it doesn't make you a specialist. Actually, scratch that. It's a lot like binge reading WebMD and deciding you're a doctor. It just doesn't work that way. True clinical competence requires appropriate education, practical supervised experience, and deep self-awareness. And hey, that self-awareness includes monitoring your own physical and mental state. Recognizing when personal fatigue, illness, stress, or burnout are affecting your clinical decision-making is a massive part of professional responsibility. You literally have to care for yourself to safely care for others. Let's pivot to Section 3, spotting clinical red flags. There are just some situations that require immediate medical or psychological assessment, no questions asked. Professional hypnotherapists need to be highly alert to the signs we've got listed here. We're talking sudden personality changes, thoughts of suicide or self-harm, symptoms suggesting psychosis, unexplained neurological issues, severe substance dependence, or medical symptoms that haven't been assessed by a doctor yet. These are major red flags. But I want to be very clear here. Recognizing these signs isn't about you trying to diagnose the client. Not at all. It's about recognizing that further assessment by an appropriately qualified healthcare professional is immediately required. Which brings us to Section 4, the power of referral. So the crucial point is that referring a client is not a failure. It is absolutely not a lost business opportunity either. It is a profound act of professionalism. Referral is totally appropriate when a client's needs exceed your competence, when a medical assessment is needed, or even when progress has simply stalled out despite your best interventions. Recognizing your limits through these indicators doesn't diminish you one bit. It actually strengthens your professional reputation. Why? Because it proves your commitment to the client's best interests above all else. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world with a quick story. Imagine a client named David. Step 1. He comes to a hypnotherapist seeking help for anxiety. But during the consultation, David mentions he's been experiencing sudden episodes of confusion and occasional blackouts that he's never discussed with a doctor. Step 2, the therapist smartly pauses, recognizing that while anxiety might be present, those blackouts are a massive red flag requiring medical assessment. So the therapist sensitively refers David to a GP. Step 3, weeks later, David gets medical clearance and returns to begin his hypnotherapy alongside his ongoing medical care. See that? The therapist protected David's health and their own professional integrity, all without permanently losing the client. Now, I know some therapists hesitate to refer because they worry the client will feel rejected. If that sounds like you, try using this exact script. Just say, based on what you've shared today, I believe it would be helpful for you to have this assessed by your doctor before we begin hypnotherapy. This is such an actionable, reassuring way to explain referrals to worried clients. It totally reinforces that this is just part of responsible professional care, ensuring they get the most appropriate support without making them feel dismissed. And here is another incredibly powerful clinical insight from experienced practitioners. Becoming comfortable saying, I don't believe I'm the best person to help you with this, but I know someone who is a massive milestone in your career. Clients deeply, deeply respect this honesty. It proves to them, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that their well-being comes way before your personal pride or ego. That takes us to our final core topic, Section 5, building a professional network. Let's move to and see how this builds a true safety net of multidisciplinary care for your clients. Modern healthcare highly values collaborative practice. This means building a comprehensive web of support, like a giant puzzle where everyone holds a different piece. With informed consent, you might find yourself working alongside GPs, psychologists, dietitians, or physiotherapists. The goal here is absolutely not to compete with these professionals. The goal is to respect their recommendations and figure out how your work can complement the client's overall care to achieve shared comprehensive well-being. Of course, whenever you collaborate or make a referral, we have to talk about documentation. Your clinical records should clearly state the reason for the referral, what information was actually discussed with the client, any recommendations provided, a firm confirmation that consent was obtained, and any relevant communication you had with other professionals. Having clear records isn't just about covering your bases, It actively supports the continuity of care and demonstrates your absolute professional accountability. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative reflection question. Think about this. What beliefs might make referral feel difficult for you? Are you worried about losing income? Do you fear looking incompetent? I urge you to really internalize the lessons we've covered today. The most respected practitioners out there are the ones who know exactly when to help and exactly when someone else is better equipped for the job. Prioritize patient well-being above everything else, and your practice is going to thrive on a foundation of true professionalism. Keep reflecting on that, and hey, thanks for exploring this incredibly crucial topic with me today.